I always believed my mom loved me and my sister equally, but life has a strange way of proving you wrong at the most painful moment. Ever since childhood, my sister Emily had been the center of mom's universe. If Emily cried, everyone rushed. If Emily wanted something, somehow there was always money. If Emily messed something up, mom defended her like she was made of gold. I never complained because I believed that one day things would balance out. They didn't. They got worse. Much worse. At 26, I had finally built a stable life. A good job, solid savings, and a bank account that I managed with discipline, because for years I had grown up watching mom overspend, borrow, and make terrible financial decisions. So I learned to do the opposite. I saved. I planned. I worked hard. That money was my future. And mom knew it. One afternoon, I came home from work, exhausted, hungry, and dreaming of a quiet evening. Instead, I walked into chaos. My mom, Emily, and 3 wedding planners were in my living room. My living room. There were design boards, flower samples, and a giant screen displaying wedding venue proposals. Mom immediately turned to me with that overly bright smile she used whenever she wanted something. Sweetheart, look, Emily's wedding is happening in 2 months. Isn't this amazing? 2 months. Last week Emily didn't even have a boyfriend. She's getting married. I asked. Emily smirked. Ryan proposed yesterday. We want a destination wedding. That's fast, I muttered. Emily shrugged like it was all normal. When you know, you know. Then mom said the words that made my stomach twist. We've already started booking everything. I looked around at the planners, the folders, the laptop showing insane prices. Who's paying for all this? And that's when mom turned away, guilty, sheepish, avoiding eye contact. Emily said it casually, without shame. You, obviously. My heart dropped. What? Mom clasped her hands. Sweetheart, we know you have money. You're doing so well. Emily deserves a perfect wedding. I stared at her. Mom, I never said I'd pay for anything. You don't have to say it, she insisted with a forced laugh. Family helps family. Something in me tightened. Something cold. Something that had been pushed down for years. Mom, what exactly did you pay for? Emily laughed, flipping her hair. The deposit for the resort, the dress, the catering. Mom used your card. Used my card. My chest felt like it was caving in. Mom, how? She waved it off like it was nothing. I have your card saved from when you asked me to buy groceries months ago. I didn't think you'd mind. It's Emily's wedding. My pulse hammered in my ears. How much did you spend? Mom hesitated. Emily didn't. Around $80,000 so far. And more invoices are coming next week. $80,000. And they said it like it was pocket change. I could barely breathe. You spent $80,000 of my money without asking. Without even telling me. Emily rolled her eyes. Stop being dramatic. You have money. I need my wedding. Why are you acting poor? I took a slow breath, trying to stay calm. This is theft. Mom gasped. Don't use that word in this house. This is exactly that, I snapped. You stole my money. But instead of apologizing, Mom got angry. How dare you talk to me like that? I am your mother. If I needed money, you should be grateful I even trust you enough to use it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Then Mom delivered the final blow. We've already committed to everything. You need to transfer another $50,000 by next week. Otherwise Emily's wedding will be ruined. I laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was the laugh of someone who had finally reached the limit. Later that night, when everyone was asleep, I opened my banking app and stared at the transactions. $80,317.42 gone. Just like that. And as I scrolled through, I realized something else. They planned to keep spending until I stopped them. But here's the thing. I didn't stop them. At least, not yet. I watched the next charges come in. Reservations. Catering upgrades. Custom decorations. Champagne packages. Emily even purchased a $6,500 bridal morning spa ritual. Every charge made me burn hotter, colder, angrier. They had no idea I was watching. They had no idea I was planning. They had no idea the storm coming. But the moment that sealed everything, the moment I changed completely, was when I overheard them talking the next evening. I had walked into the hallway, and they were in the kitchen laughing. Emily, she won't say no. She's too soft. Mom, I raised her to put family first. That's why she'll pay. Emily, good, because if she ruins my wedding, I'll cut her off forever. Mom, don't worry. She knows her place. Knows my place. That was it. That was the moment I decided everything. I wasn't just going to stop the spending. I wasn't just going to confront them. I wasn't just going to ask for the money back. No, I was going to burn their perfect little plan to the ground. Publicly, legally, permanently. I opened my laptop, and I froze the account. Every credit card, every access point, every transaction, locked. And then I smiled, because if Mom wanted to treat me like a wallet, if Emily wanted to treat me like a bank, then they were about to learn what happens when the bank closes. And when the wedding vendors started calling them non-stop, demanding payment for the remaining balances. Everything was about to begin. When I froze the account, I expected anger. I expected yelling, maybe some dramatic tears, but nothing prepared me for the absolute meltdown that exploded the next morning. It started at 7:14 a.m. with my phone vibrating non-stop. 10 calls from Mom, 12 from Emily, then wedding planners, then an unknown number, probably the venue. I ignored every single one and calmly ate breakfast for the first time in days. At 7:36 a.m., the screaming began. Mom stormed into my room like she owned the place, still in her robe, hair a mess, waving her phone in my face. What did you do? Why are my cards declining? I sipped my coffee. Because they're not your cards. Emily burst in behind her, mascara smudged from crying, or maybe from not getting enough attention. The resort called me. They said the remaining balance is due today. Why did you freeze the account? I set my mug down slowly. Because you spent my money without my consent. Mom stomped closer, jabbing a finger in my direction. That's not how families work. We already told everyone the wedding is happening. The invitations are out. The venue is booked. You can't just cut funding. I stayed calm. Too calm. I didn't cut funding. I never agreed to fund anything. Emily shrieked, "This is my dream wedding. You're ruining it out of jealousy." I blinked. Jealousy? Of what? She hesitated, then flicked her hair. Because I'm getting married first. I almost laughed. Emily, I don't even want to get married. Mom slammed her hand on the dresser. You unfreeze that account right now. No. Her eyes widened with disbelief, as if she'd never heard the word before. What did you say? No. Emily gasped dramatically. You're evil. And that's when my mother spat the sentence that carved itself into my memory forever. I gave you life. You owe me everything. I stood up slowly, the anger inside me calm, sharp, almost surgical. You gave me life. I gave you groceries. You gave me guilt. I gave you respect. And now, you gave me theft. So I gave you consequences. Mom's face turned red. Emily burst into tears, stomping out of the room and screaming something about how she can't have a wedding in a cheap place like normal people. I expected them to calm down eventually. They didn't. By noon, they had called my aunt, my uncle, my grandparents, 3 cousins, and probably the entire neighborhood. Everyone sent me dramatic texts about how I was destroying family unity. I ignored all of them. Then, silence. For 4 hours. That silence told me something important. They were planning something. At 4:09 p.m., the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find Mom standing there with a folder, looking oddly composed. Her voice was cold. We need to talk. Alone. We sat in the living room. She didn't waste time. Emily is devastated. Her wedding is ruined. The vendors are demanding payments. You have put us all in a horrible position. Mom, you put yourself in that position when you stole from me. She ignored that and pulled out printed pages. So here's what we're going to do. You will pay the remaining balances, unfreeze the account, and help with wedding expenses. In return, Emily will let you be a bridesmaid. I stared at her. Let me. You're offering me the privilege of paying for the wedding and doing free labor. Mom remained stone-faced. If you don't, we will cut you out of the family. Completely. The ultimatum. The threat. The manipulation she had used my whole life. But this time, it bounced right off me. Mom, I said softly, I already reported the unauthorized charges. She blinked. What? I reported the transactions to the bank last night. Her face drained of color. I leaned back. Every dollar you spent, the bank is investigating. They already flagged it as identity theft. Mom shot up from her seat. You would do that to your own family. You did that when you used my money without permission. You don't understand, she cried. If the resort cancels, everyone will know we can't afford the wedding. And whose fault is that? She grabbed my arm. Call the bank and undo it now. I pulled away. No. Emily came running in, already having eavesdropped. The dress boutique is threatening to cancel my custom gown. You ruined everything. I didn't budge. Not an inch. Too bad. Emily screamed, you're a monster. Mom collapsed on the couch dramatically. I raised a selfish, ungrateful daughter. I nodded. Maybe because a selfish, ungrateful mother raised me. Mom looked up at me with pure hatred. If the bank reverses the payment, I'll be humiliated. What did you expect? She pointed a shaky finger at me. You love watching your sister suffer, don't you? No, I said softly. I love watching consequences finally catch up. Then I stood. You need to leave. Emily gasped. You're kicking Mom out. I'm kicking both of you out. Now. Mom stood up, trembling with rage. You'll regret this. I don't think I will. And with that, I opened the door and waited. They left. But here's the thing, they didn't stay gone. The next morning, I woke up to a crowd of relatives blowing up my phone, calling me names, shaming me, begging me to think of Emily's special day. And then, the venue emailed me too. Your mother has disputed the charges and claimed you approved them. Please confirm. Oh, so that was their plan. Lie, blame, cover their tracks. I looked at the email calmly. Then typed only one line in response. I did not authorize a single transaction. Please forward all documents to the fraud investigator assigned to my case. And I hit send. Because they wanted a war. Now they were going to get one. When I sent that email confirming the fraud investigation, I thought the chaos had already reached its peak. I was wrong. That was just the warm-up act. The real storm started 72 hours later. At 6:42 a.m., my bank called. The fraud specialist's voice was calm, professional, and terrifying. We have confirmed multiple unauthorized charges from your account, including vendor payments, dress boutiques, venue deposits, and luxury bookings. We'll begin reversing the funds today. I almost felt bad for what I knew was coming next. Almost. At 8:13 a.m., it happened. A scream. High-pitched. Furious. The kind you hear in a horror movie. It echoed through the front yard before my mother even reached my door. She barged in without knocking, hysterical, holding her phone. The bank took the money back. The venue canceled. The resort canceled. Everything is falling apart. I stayed seated at the kitchen table, calmly stirring my cereal. Mom grabbed my arm. You fix this. Now. I shook her off. No. She stomped her foot like a toddler. You embarrassed us. You humiliated our entire family. Emily burst in seconds later, mascara running again, holding a garment bag. The dress shop called me. They said the payment reversed and they're not giving me the gown unless we pay in full today. You ruined it. You ruined my wedding. She threw the dress bag on the floor like a dead body. I leaned back in my chair. Maybe you should plan a wedding you can afford. Mom gasped as if I had slapped her. We are not poor. Then why did you need my money? Mom froze. Emily said nothing. Exactly, I said. Mom tried another tactic, fake sympathy. Sweetheart, we didn't think you'd mind. You don't even spend your money. It's still mine. Emily stepped forward. You are so selfish. I needed a perfect wedding. And I needed a family that didn't steal from me, I replied. Mom suddenly stopped crying. Her face hardened, eyes narrowed, voice cold. If you don't unfreeze that account, Emily's wedding is over. I shrugged. Looks like it already is. Emily screamed with rage. You are dead to me. Well, I said calmly, you were never really alive to me. Mom pointed toward the door. We're going to the house. We're going to explain everything, and they will all know what you did. I smiled. Perfect timing. Because I'm going there too. They frowned. You'll see, I said. Dash dash dash. When we arrived at my parents' house, there were already cars lined up outside. Aunts, uncles, cousins, people I barely even recognized but who somehow felt entitled to comment on my life. The moment I walked through the door, the shouting began. How could you do this to your sister? You ruined her big day. You're heartless. Money isn't everything. I raised a hand. Everyone sit down. Shockingly, they did. Mom stood behind them, arms crossed, victorious smirk on her face. Emily sniffed dramatically beside her. I pulled out a folder and placed it on the table. These, I said, are the fraud investigation documents. Screenshots of every unauthorized charge. All traced to Mom's phone, Mom's IP address, and Mom's digital signature. The room fell silent. I turned to Aunt Linda, always the loudest critic. Your sister didn't borrow my money. She committed identity theft. Mom turned pale. That's not true. I continued, ignoring her. The bank confirmed it. The police have the report. And if I wanted to press charges, she would be arrested. Gasps. Whispering. Mom started shaking. Emily stepped back. But, I added, I didn't press charges. Yet. Mom clutched her chest dramatically. You wouldn't. Try me. Emily shouted, why are you doing this? You're tearing this family apart. I laughed softly. I'm not tearing anything apart. I'm just refusing to let you steal from me. Dad's brother, who rarely spoke. Leaned forward. Is all this true? I nodded. Every word. I placed copies of the bank documents on the table for everyone to see. She took $80,000 from my account for a wedding I was never consulted about. Emily wailed, it was my dream wedding. And my dream, I said quietly, was having a family that didn't treat me like an ATM. No one had a rebuttal. Then Mom snapped. You owe us. I raised you. I stared at her. You raised me to be useful. Nothing more. The room froze again. Then I lifted the final paper from the folder. And since we're clearing things up, this is the official notice that I'm cutting all financial support. Permanently. Mom staggered. What? No. You help with the mortgage. The bills. Your father. I raised a hand. I don't owe you a lifestyle. The relatives looked between us in disbelief. And one more thing, I said. If any of you harass me again about Emily's wedding, I will press charges. Silence. Cold. Heavy. Mom collapsed into a chair, defeated. Emily sank to the floor, crying about how she'd never recover socially. I didn't care. I walked out of the house feeling lighter than I had in years. 3 weeks later, Emily had a tiny courthouse wedding. No floral arches. No $20,000 gown. No luxury resort. Mom tried to guilt trip me into attending, but I didn't go. A month after that, I closed the joint accounts, moved out, and went no contact. The best part, a year later, when Emily's marriage fell apart after 7 months, she tried begging me for money again. I blocked her, and for the first time in my life, I wasn't the family's wallet. I was free.